Today we are going to be reviewing my October reads. I read about 10 or 11 books, mostly horror, a little over 2,000 pages, and I still have 6 days left. 6 days left in the month. Let's get into it. First book I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and it is about a firefighter whose job isn't to put out fires, but to start fires, burning down books and houses that hold books. This book is pretty good. It's kind of confusing and it's kind of old, as in like 60 years old or something like that. But the writing was interesting. Some of the characters were hard to understand what in the world they were talking about for me, but I also read it in a busy airport while my flight was delayed, so that might not help. But I would give it about 4 stars. I know there are more books following it, and people have written their own books about what happens after it, and the ending is very controversial. That is Fahrenheit 451. Next up is This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. This is another horror, or not another, the first horror thriller novel I read, and this was recommended by my cousin Josh, and I had to pick it up immediately after. And it is not even a long read. It's like 250 pages. Read it in Orlando on an off day from Universal Studios. This one has some or a demon feel to it, and is actually written in a first person point of view for most of it. It's kind of like a letter to his deceased wife, and the way she dies and how everything goes down is crazy, and honestly make a great movie. This is one of my top 3 favorite books that I've ever read so far. I would rate this one 5 stars. If it's my favorite, it's got to be 5 stars. I've never really heard this book recommended either, and there was only one of them at Barnes & Noble, and I had to wait for them to restock it. But as This Thing Between Us, definitely would recommend. Next up is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. And I actually read all 3 in this series called the Sworn Soldier series. And this follows a sworn soldier from Galatia. I don't know how to say it. Sworn soldier is a thing that I'm pretty sure the author made up. It's basically they go to become a soldier because they have no identity and they want their own pronouns. Because in the Galatian language, I don't know if it's true or false, they have their own pronouns for girls, boys, soldiers, God, and rocks for some reason. But this follows a guy who goes to help his childhood friend who is sick. And it turns out she's not actually sick. And this one is definitely a lot more of a psychological horror book. And it's only 150 pages. Quick read. Bought the first one and the second one in Orlando because I needed more to read on the way home. I'd give this one a 4-star rating out of 5. Next up is the second book of the Sworn Soldier series, What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. This one's another good one, of course. Only 150 pages almost exactly. And this one follows that main character again, the sworn soldier, to his family's cabin that has been abandoned because the caretaker disappeared. But he doesn't know that till he arrives, and he has a suspicious death, and things start happening to him at this cabin, and it's about that. This one isn't as good as the first book, but it's still really good. I would have to give it 3 stars, 3.75 stars. Just barely not as good as the first one, but I still really like the writing style and how quick it is to read. You could read one of these books in a sitting for sure if you wanted to. Takes a second to get used to it, but I absolutely love them. And that is What Feasts at Night. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This book I picked up originally because it has cool pages, but this one's only 200 pages, semi-quick read. It's actually really good. And they have a Netflix adaptation limited series. It's 8 episodes and each one's like an hour or so long. But the book itself is pretty good, really eerie. And it's obviously about a haunted house, and the town around it tries to claim it doesn't exist and to not go there. And people who go there either go crazy and leave, or they never are to be found again. I liked the book. The book I gave about 4.5 stars. I wish it was a little longer, honestly. The ending felt kind of abrupt, but still really good read, and would recommend if you're getting into horror. The Netflix show, it's kind of weird. The Netflix show has absolutely nothing to do with the book. It just uses all the names in here, but it's one family who used to live at the house that doesn't exist in the book. And the book's nothing about that. That's Haunting of Hill House. Next is my least favorite read of all time. In a way, this is The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers, written in the 1880s, I think. It's really old, and my cousin showed me this one too because it is based off a show he liked called True Detective, and he has a foreword in here as well. And at the end, there's also a billion different authors' opinions that I did not read, because why would I? It is about 10 short stories, and only 4 of them are about people who read The King in Yellow go crazy. And they become controlled by The King in Yellow, or stuff happens to them. The other 6 stories have absolutely nothing to do with it. And I only read 2 or 3 of the others. I didn't keep track because I just set this one down because I was getting sick of it. If I was rating the first 4 stories, I'd give it a 4-star. But based off what I read as a whole, I'd give it 2.5 to 3 stars. First 4 stories were really good, spooky, eerie, and just an overall good plot. And all 4 they don't intertwine. They're all 4 separate stories about what happens when you read this book. Maybe it drove me crazy because I didn't like the rest. The fifth story was still pretty good, just a good, spooky, weird, psychological story. The 6th story was absolutely terrible. It was 2 pages and made no sense at all. Not a single sentence in it made sense. But I would still recommend it if you want to just, pick it up every once in a while, read a little 10 pages, and that's a full spooky story, gives you something to think about. Then I would recommend it. Next is one of my favorites, Slewfoot by Brom. I don't know if that's a first, last name, or just a cover name. This is one of my favorite reads of the month, possibly overall. Been thinking about adding it to my favorites, but I'm not sure. It's in the horror genre, but it turns into more of a kind of fantasy, like kind of magic book. It says Tale of Bewitchery, and about half the book is about bewitchery. The other half is about normal remedies a woman uses to make charms to help out her neighbors. But it is based in 1666 in Sutton, Connecticut, I believe, and is about a woman who is from somewhere over in Europe. She got sold by her father to marry this guy over here, and the town she's in is pretty sexist. She has no rights, has to behave, can't give her opinion on anything. She's a very stubborn lady who keeps getting in trouble, and her husband dies in a mysterious way. And she has to keep up the farm or it's going to get stolen. And this is about what happens. How does she do it? Or does she? I'd give this one, I'm between 4 3/4 to 5 stars. I don't really have a reason not to give it 5 stars, though. It even has pictures in the middle of what the characters look like, so you know who they're talking about. Spooky. I'll give this one a 5-star. I'll add to my favorites right here, right now. Next up is Stalks the Deep. It is the 3rd book in the Sworn Soldier series, and it follows the main character, Alec, I forgot his first name, who goes to help his friend Dutton, who he met in the first book, helping his childhood friend. And basically, the American character finds out he opens a cave in the Appalachian Mountains. and his cousin goes missing and writes some mysterious letters, and then randomly, after not responding for months, he receives another letter or telegram that sounds nothing like him and says, "Do not visit." So what do? They go and visit. And they find some mysterious, unexplainable, otherworldly things in that cave. This one was probably my favorite. 4.25 stars. Another quick read. This one's almost 200 pages though. So about 2 minutes longer than the other books. This one I do wish was a little longer possibly, but yeah. Why? Next up is one of the books I was more excited for and knew absolutely nothing about. It is You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. And this is about an autistic trans character who gets pregnant with an alien, possibly with or by an alien. And it follows the hive. Well, the swarm is the whole thing. And then there's hives all around in West Virginia, Appalachian Mountains, all over the country. Who knows how long they've been here, what type of aliens they are, or if they're a natural phenomenon that do exist. And it follows the pregnancy of this character and the challenges they face. And literally the whole book is about the pregnancy. The last 20 pages are about the birth. So yeah, it gets pretty crazy. It's gruesome. It is very vulgar and kind of a medium length read for books that I read. It is the last horror that I bought for this month, and I only have one more after. I'd give this one 3.5 stars, probably. It was enjoyable, just not my cup of tea. Lastly is a book I started reading, and I got midway through the month. Yeah, midway through the month. This is Poems and Prayers by Matthew McConaughey. I got this in my boo basket from my girlfriend. I've only read the first 2 chapters, but I plan to, over time, read this hopefully daily. Every once in a while, pick it up, read one of the poems or prayers. That's literally what it is. And yeah, I just wanted to show you what I'm excited for. And then I'm also going to film my November TBR and just rate the books, how excited I am to read them, what they might be about, so I can kind of see a before and after every month of what I thought I was getting into, what I got into, and the books I thought I was going to read, and how many I actually read, because I read 4 or 5 more than I meant to in October, which is totally awesome. But yeah, stay tuned for the next video.